Our next exciting few minutes for you is our panel discussion. So we have Cleo O'Gara going to chair our panel discussion, and the topic is how AI is actually going to solve issues in hospitality, and we're getting this straight from the horse's mouth as such. And our panelists are Jennifer McKenna, Porrick Hanrahan, Alaf Khan, and Daniel Mahanan. Would you welcome them, please? Thank you.
Wow, I think I'll stand. For most of you, there's no introduction required. You're very well recognized in the industry, and thanks for participating in our panel. But Jennifer McKenna. Jennifer works across many hotels in Ireland, and her main focus is sales and marketing, although she talks to me mostly about sales and how sales is now back in the front of our conversations all of the time. I think during COVID, the sales role we all imagined would become digital, and now all of a sudden salespeople out on the road doing that job again is forefront of Jennifer's mind. Altaf, who I can't remember when I didn't know. And when I started talking to him with my guest line access hat on, he said, "I'm not buying anything, Cleo." And, we have a lot of products now across Altaf's properties. So Altaf is the Group Director of Operations in the Savoy Group, which is the Savoy and the George in Limerick, two very different hotels that are sisters across our products and that have teams that use our central environment and individual environments again within each product. So a very challenging role, although I stayed in Limerick recently and there wasn't a room to be had, Altaf. Midweek in Limerick is full. You need hotels. So if anyone's in the audience wants to build a hotel in Limerick, there's a market. Definitely a market. I was very lucky that the Kilmurray put me up in an apartment. Otherwise, I would have had to drive home. So that was great. Porrick has a very interesting role, I think. And previous to your current role, you were a general manager. Is that right? And we were only talking outside to someone. How does a general manager get to implement systems? They can't. They don't have the time, and they don't have the headspace even to spend the time on them. And Trigon were really, I think, intuitive to decide that they needed one person that did that across the group. And in my time working with Porrick, we've implemented Guestline, websites, EPOS, and whether they were our product or not our product, they had to integrate with each other. And your attention to detail and everything was fabulous on that. And that couldn't be done by an operator. You have to come out of operations to do that, don't you? So that's really good. And Daniel is a restaurant manager. So now that we're totally access, we have restaurants and hotels all sitting together. So Daniel is going to bring some great insights as to how restaurants are coping in the current situation that we're in. Are we all good with that? Have I introduced you well?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay, now I'll start with the questions. That was the easy bit. And okay, so I suppose, we've all heard different things about AI today. And if you'd asked me a year ago told me I'd be standing here talking about Access Evo, I would have said, oh, not yet. That's not going to happen yet. We all sort of thought, a bit like social media when it started, that's not for us yet. And yet in the last year, even in our personal lives and our professional lives, we're using it everywhere. And it's, penetrating how we think, how we do business. So my first question, and can I start with you, Jennifer?
Yes, of course.
Do you mind going first?
No, I'll do the guinea pig, yes.
Yeah, okay. So at the moment, for yourself, how are you using AI?
Well, I'll use one of the hotels as an example, if that's okay. Yeah. So I'm, as Cleo said, I'm working for myself. I'm working across a couple of different hotels, which can change at any time. So that's really interesting because you probably see where different operators are in terms of their journey on the AI path, I suppose, and adopting it. So I give an example of one of the systems that's been put in, which has helped on the automation, I suppose, of messaging and that kind of thing. So a system that links in with the PMS, as soon as you get your confirmation, you're into kind of a different platform of messaging. So you're effectively a chatbot, for want of a better word, let's call it that for the moment. And it has it's an automation level of 98% on that system at the moment. So in other words, 98% of people can have their questions answered by the system without having to ring reservations or email reservations or contact the hotel. And so that's been hugely beneficial. And the other side of that is when they come into the hotel, that it then becomes a WhatsApp message. So it's a WhatsApp messaging system, and they can engage with it, or obviously they can unsubscribe. And the automation and the AI behind that is like it suits the new generation coming in also, you know, so
in the workforce.
Means, exactly. So it means things can be answered instantly. The reception team are definitely, you know, it taking that automation away from reception as well while they're in-house means they're freeing up their time. So I think, you know, we were talking about that this morning, freeing up time for people then to be able to spend on people. But just to give you a generational example, like, you know, one of those messages one evening was, you know, I'm on the second floor and I can't find my bedroom. You know, so it's like, now it wasn't, we're not talking about a castle property that had lots of corridors, we're talking about a fairly straight corridor. Modern hotel with a straight corridor, you know, but that was the level of generation, you know, so it's easier for a receptionist at that point to actually go up than to message back, but anyway.
Where before we'd have walked down to the desk and
they'd have come back down to the desk, so exactly. So again, it's entertaining each of the generations with it as well. So that's one example, I suppose, of where one of the hotels is using it at the moment.
And why did you choose that as your first place?
I think it was somewhere to start, but definitely there was a number of integrations coming, and I suppose there was a second platform added into that, which then kind of did upsells and all kinds of things as well. So it's definitely a journey, and it was a case of starting in one place. Starting with one system, get it in, get it started, and then take the next step and take the next system and build it up that way, rather than integrating too much at the same time.
Yeah, and alleviating all that desperate done jobs that people have to do. So huge benefits there.
Yeah, huge benefits.
I think Janice, who's on the next panel, the last time she was here, she used the word zombie jobs. Like nobody went into hotels to do a zombie job, did they? You know, they went in to do the lovely customer care that we saw earlier that we were all allowed to do in the 90s.
Exactly, yeah. Like if a receptionist or a reservation agent is freed up from answering, you know,
where's the parking?
Where's the parking? You know, can I park overnight? Can I check in early? Can I, you know, all of those things. What time is dinner? What time is the restaurant open? What time is room service? You know, all of those things, like it's relentless, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think if you can free up those people, then they have more time to spend with somebody who needs it on the phone, or to spend on, you know, pure sales, as I would go on about, you know. So it's and front facing, you know, receptionists can be front facing as opposed to answering those questions on a keyboard.
And a much nicer job for them, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
How about you, Porrick? Where did you start in Trigon in AI, or how much have you embraced it?
I think the main one we looked at is, I suppose, what has the biggest impact. And I suppose to give an example of that, we introduced a time management system this year, upgraded it. I suppose from a rostering point of view, very straightforward for the team to understand it. But there's also a productivity element within that as well. Look, with any implementation of systems, it takes time, it takes effort. A lot of time has been spent on all areas, all departments on doing it.
Yeah.
But I suppose the reason for choosing that one first and foremost, we know the minimum wage is increasing.
Yes.
We know the auto pension enrolment is coming down the line.
Yes.
You know, and it's one of the biggest costs for any hotel.
Yes.
So that was kind of the major choice with it. The interesting item with the productivity element is it'll help and streamline rostering for the HODs, but also the oversight on it.
For the whole team.
They're not using costed rosters, they're not manually inputting it.
Yeah.
It's going to establish the amount of hours that you need to roster based on a forecast.
And predictive forecasting?
Not there yet, that's still manual,
that's
but
good.
all going well.
And what was the employee engagement like? Did they love it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
We're still in the process of the productivity, but with the initial implementation, they can see a difference. The team members get the roster on their phone.
Love it.
You know,
no ringing the reception desk to ask them their roster.
Yeah, that's it. The interaction, the chat message functions and things like that. So it really streamlines it. And I know the HODs are excited for the productivity. They're not waiting to be told cut your roster or slim it down.
And
or just
in my time in hotels, and Derek Lee is in the room, he'll remember we did this. We'd look at the labour cost the following Wednesday. Sure, it was way too late to fix anything the following Wednesday. So we'd get murdered again, and it would happen again. You know, so we were constantly in trouble every Wednesday because we'd let something slip, or we had too many people in. We never had too little staff. We'd often have too many staff. And then the little bit of profit, especially in food and beverage, the profit is so tight. Your little bit of profit was gone. And we'd vow not to do it again the next week, and we might be good for 2 or 3 weeks, and then lo and behold, it happen again. So tools like that are invaluable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's great to hear the team are loving it. Probably a bit like what the guys were saying about Roche already. They can participate more, they can be more involved. So. Wow, okay. Altaf.
As you introduced me yourself, so we have 2 properties in Limerick.
Yes.
One is a 5-star property and one is a 4-star property. And then we have 5 restaurants which run off the property, and some of them are independent as well. So then we have a central reservations office which feeds and looks after all the hotels and restaurant bookings and everything.
And does all the sales function,
All
really.
of them. Yeah, so our basically pain point would have been the communication. And as previously everybody explained over here, you had 10 tabs open on your computer. You're trying to answer Booking.com, Expedia, RoomX, GDS, and all those. So what we did was we introduced a unified inbox, which Jennifer just said, but a bit advanced than that. So it brought every communication into one inbox. So there was, first of all, the first thing happened was the fights stopped between reservation and reception. Who changed the password for Booking.com? that stopped. So those calls stopped, first of all. And then
the internal rows are great.
It comes
If
down
you can
to
stop that.
Exactly, yeah. So that stopped, that saved time itself. The friction stopped over there. And then everybody knew what the guest conversation was and where it stopped. So a guest could be asking a question for parking on Booking.com, but yet on Instagram, they'd be asking for a menu. So it was all landing in one unified inbox, so we knew who the guest was. And that information was readily available to everyone, and then it was posted onto the reservations as such. So that helped us a lot, and that friction has,
And we forget about the friction. The friction stops progress, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So if you can stop the friction.
Exactly. So, and that is exactly what happened. So our response time dropped by around 40%. Anything missed messages dropped by near zero. Imagine, as you know, there's so many channels that you're communicating. And as we discussed, if you miss
the difference in complaints must be enormous because you're catching everything.
Exactly. As you know, the guests want split answers, and they don't care if it's coming from a bot or if it's coming from a human.
They just want the answer.
They just want the answer. As a result, if they get the answers right at the same time, you are more inclined to get the direct booking rather than going
That's
to
it,
an
or
OTA.
you're more inclined to get an upsell because now they're comfortable, they trust you, and they'll buy more from you.
Exactly. And so, the team admin time reduced 25-30%. And the most important thing that what I noticed was if you can control your inbox, you can control your day.
Yeah. I wish I had that.
Yeah, and not only that, now people on the reception are looking at the guest rather than looking for that communication.
And
or
trying
what
to find all the bits.
Exactly, and as we discussed earlier on, the last thing you want is to miss that pink Bollinger.
Yes.
You can find,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
we
You
said
can't find
it.
that pink Bollinger at 9 o'clock, you'll find a pillowcase.
It's never a guest request for a pillow that's the problem. It's the guy that wanted the champagne for his partner in the room and he's paid for all of that, and that didn't happen. How do you recover from that?
Yeah, so those messages aren't missed and the communication is better, so that helped.
And employee engagement, now that they're not killing each other, is that good?
No, they're smiling. They're looking at the guest. They're not looking at the computer. They're welcoming. They're upselling. And they're telling things about Limerick that what they should be doing, and they're engaging with the guest.
Yeah.
So,
and when you think what the video from the 90s really touched my heart, because now computers are in the way of you and the guest. In the 90s, we were looking at the guest. The stuff was underneath, and you were looking at the guest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. So Daniel, what's it like in the restaurant business and what have you implemented in AI?
So I suppose we're a little bit different in the sense that obviously it's a lot smaller scale and we're not going across. The restaurant I manage, I'm there as of kind of just since this year and it's only open 12 months. So it's quite new, but we have 2 other properties in Cork and we're opening another one in 9 days. Fingers crossed if the builders
you got off to be here today.
If the builders are done. If the builders are done. They need a lot of AI to get all their work done, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But when it is a smaller team, it's obviously looking at more, not as much AI, but the tech that you can use to do more and make everything accessible. I'm not in the restaurant 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I have assistant managers and I've got, just then kind of me, an assistant, and waitresses. But, I've trained every single one of them in on how to fully use the Res Diary system.
Yes.
because in the happenstance that I'm not there and someone comes in, you don't want to, again, lose
Yes.
that customer.
Yes.
But, there isn't a full AI-able system there yet to
Yes.
make it all seamlessly,
To layer it all for
Exactly.
you. But what Anthony said earlier this morning was, I think the questions that were asked of the people that we did the questions on, so many were probably more than 50% said they have the tech, but they're not implementing it right.
Yeah.
And there you're implementing the one product you have right. So that's a huge plus.
Yeah. And I use a lot of the analytics out of it. When I first, my background was in London for the last 10 years, and I came from, kind of a bigger scale of things, hotels for 6 years, and then restaurants for 4 years there. And the guys who have the restaurant, they're restaurant people, but their ideas, guys, they're on to the next thing, and they wanted someone to come in with that kind of skill. I sat down in my first week to look at all the analytics in the Res Diary, and churn out everything, and seeing 64% of our bookings were coming in 8 weeks in advance for a restaurant is like insane volume to have people booking that far in advance.
Good complaint.
But it then feeds into all the other tech that we have for then I can do the rota
Yes.
a month at a time, and
Yes. And even your cash flow, if you're taking deposits, you're safe.
And a lot of my staff are quite young, they're in uni, but I can do a month's worth of rotas, and then each week just check back with each of them and go, are you okay? Your lectures this week, is everything all right? And it all ties into one system, but I can project what's coming 8 weeks in advance, and I know exactly who out of, do I need runners that day? Do I need 3 full waiters? Do I need 2 waiters and a runner? By, looking at all the kind of
or
analytics
even
in it.
approving holiday approval, you know what you're doing.
And then slowly, hopefully, with, the development of some more AI that will come into I think, later questions, which I'll touch on then, is, stuff to help with reservations and the customer side of it, and how AI can help the customer also. So.
And I think with all technology, when we implement it right, the staff are more relaxed, they can engage better, they're not scared accounts are going to murder them.
Second guess themselves.
And so all in all, the customer does get a better experience.
Yeah.
Okay, on to my second question. So, a lot of us do this for cost savings or labour savings or whatever, but was there a sort of mind-blowing moment, Jennifer, aha moment, a moment that you thought, wow, I never thought we'd manage all of this and get it all right, and now we have it?
Do I have to be positive about that? No, I'm only joking. So
it's your forum.
It's my forum. Great. Okay, I'll do a positive and a negative. Okay, how's about that? Okay, I'll do the negative first. I think, and somebody said it this morning, I loved that phrase, the technology paradox. There's so many systems, and I think you were writing down the systems halfway through the session this morning, as was I. I think I got to 15 actually. You know what I mean, in terms of just how many systems we all have in the hotels, and that was just one hotel. I wasn't combining them all. But anyway, I think one of the difficulties. Well, I'll give 2 quick examples, right? So. The guest experience of coming to reception. So all the technology in the world, okay? And I've come for my 25th stay at the hotel, okay? But this time I've booked on a different platform, or my EA or PA has booked on a different platform.
With a different email, so you're not recognised.
So my profile has slotted into the system in a slightly different way, and it hasn't all merged, Now Guestline is fabulous, obviously. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. That's the positive bit.
But it hasn't all merged. So the receptionist is not really welcoming. So you would think the guest would think. The expectation would be
they know me.
They should know. It doesn't matter if it's a change of employee at the reception desk. They should know that I'm. And maybe they don't. And I think the other side of that is, and we've spoken about this in terms of sales. And maybe CRM systems. And as soon as we say CRM systems, I think everyone automatically thinks of marketing and email and e-sign systems. And I'm really talking, old-fashioned sales systems where I put in my sales activities, but can I link
into a pipeline?
Can I link it to my PMS? And when 2 companies say, yes, we integrate and we work together, do they integrate A to Z, or do they integrate it A, B, C? Because that's a really difficult point. So particularly when you're slicing and dicing data for sales, and some days you want it by segment, some days you want it by the company total for the year, some days you want it by room hire. So I have found that's a little bit of a challenge with some of the newer systems that maybe have come in. On the positive side, then, that's really positive. So, for instance, and again, I'm learning this myself all the time, trying to get better at letting the system try and teach me something. So, for instance, one of the hotels, we were looking at rates for 2026, and where would we go with rates? And obviously it is the market is not hugely buoyant. You have to be careful. It's a very competitive market. But what we managed to do is put put the reservations details, corporate reservations details into AI and asked it to kind of spit out to us, patterns of the week, days of the week, which client is only staying on the Tuesday, Wednesday night, like who do I need to, and who's doing a 7-day pattern because they're a different kind of business or whatever. And that threw up some really interesting stats, and we could probably be far more strategic in our revenue implementation for 2026 and pricing, because they're only staying on the peak high demand Tuesday, Wednesday corporate nights, and they're not the full pattern. We did, again, the
Mondays and Fridays
Mondays,
are different.
yeah, exactly. Or January to December. Who's producing 365 days? Who only comes to us when another hotel is full and we're the second option or whatever it might be. So that's been a really, and that's a work in progress. I definitely, it's
so some of what Charlotte showed, where you can create a space and put that sort of data in and ask it seasonality. And like we were saying about Limerick, Tuesday, Wednesday, don't even try. But what's happening with their Mondays and Fridays? And maybe now, because people are a little bit tighter with money, you're not going away Friday, Saturday, you're going away Saturday and calling it the weekend. So, Fridays and Mondays have to have a whole new attention.
Yeah. So I think we'll have a lot more aha moments. I think, and again, it depends where each team or hotel, and people are braver at this. I think you have to be a bit brave, don't you, to kind of trust the system or put it in or try it. Like, you can't break the system.
And how bad could it be? It might give you the wrong answer, and your gut will know the right answer. So how bad could it be?
Yeah, exactly. So it's I think each team will be on a different kind of journey as to how far they take it. Obviously, how much you can input into the system. But yeah, so it is a really exciting time. I think there's lots more aha moments, but it's just, as I said, that technology paradox for me is the bit to try and get right.
Yes, and it's coming, and I don't think it'll be a magic wand. It's going to come, and the new properties of the future are going to start with that, but the older properties have to merge into that. So, it's a time thing, isn't it? Patrick.
I think Jennifer kind of touched on an element of it. I think we're going to see a lot more aha moments between us all. I'm probably seeing it on a weekly basis because people are still learning, they're still educating themselves on it.
Yes, and trusting. And you get more trusting, don't you?
Obviously, there's security and data that you need to look at as well and be careful with it. But to give you an example, I had one of the food and beverage managers doing manual reports, pulling it and trying to collate all the data, download it, put it into one of the systems and ask it the question. That's just one example. I think another example, and seeing it from the team, was in our restaurant and food and beverage areas, was the integration of our credit card terminals with our POS. And it's amazing. The aha moment was number of people.
Yeah, and finance loved it.
Like if you think about it, think about the number of steps on point of sale till, and then think about the number of steps on the credit card terminal processing that payment.
Yeah, and then one mistake and the whole day is ruined.
Absolutely. I suppose by doing this, we've probably cut out the terminal payment process by 80%.
Yeah, there you go.
So that then allows to streamline the process, create more efficiency, speed up the process. The guest hopefully will drink a bit more and come back a bit more then. But you've also the banking at the end of the day. So there's no frustration. Why am I out? What's the difference? Trying to find the difference, trying to locate the difference. Then you've the discrepancies and we'll call them battles, trying to find a reason why.
We're back to teams killing each other. Because I've often met financial people that say, we spend Monday and Tuesday doing a spreadsheet here to try and balance the payments. The staff are all off in the middle of the week. I have to wait for them to come in on Thursday to balance it. And then they're at it again for the weekend. So that's what the integration gets rid of all of that.
Well, on the other side, there's a reduction in emails now. There's actually people relieve their balancing. It's and it's not waiting for responses either. So it's kind of bringing it together. It's multifaceted. That works really well.
What we said earlier, if the staff aren't stressed doing their job, they can deliver customer care. How could we expect them to deliver customer care if they're worried that they don't balance or whatever's happening to them? So the AI will deliver customer care, I think, because we'll be freed up to do it. Altaf, how about you? What's been the biggest impact, maybe, or the most exciting thing that your team embraced?
Well, I mean, if I take the same example of introducing the unified box. So main thing was the visibility and the clarity. And once it started to land in one place, you can analyze the data better.
Yes.
You can see the patterns.
Yes.
The front office was seeing the same thing, like 60% of their job was, as Jennifer said, same Indian questions. Where's the parking? What time I check in? What time is check out?
Yeah.
You know, do you have a swimming pool? Can I get a late checkout and all that? So we looked at that again, went back, changed the frequently asked questions, changed the reservations. The detail was on that.
Yes.
So those phone calls, those inquiries started to reduce. Again, we saw a pattern that OTA's inquiries were coming between 8 and 10 o'clock in the evenings.
Yes, yes.
So we looked at it again. Okay, our staff is finishing at 8 o'clock, 12 to 8. Okay, that shift has to change.
Yes.
So 2 to 10 is the shift, so at least we can materialize
Yes, because
that
the whole
stuff.
trend is different now. People look during the day and then they go home, they sit down and they book between 8 and 10. You're
Exactly.
dead right.
So then there were people asking questions on Instagram or on social media about the menus. So we went back again on our websites and our social media and repopulated all those informations which people were asking. We thought we had done everything.
Yeah, you never
But
have
again,
everything.
there's always learning,
Yeah,
and we're always learning, and we're reacting to those questions.
Yeah.
So that takes all that pressure from your front office reservations and the phones,
Yeah.
and hence,
They're present then when they're with the client.
Exactly. You're always present there when they come in. They have your dedicated
Well, I think that's
attention.
invaluable because no client wants a zombie check-in. They want an engaged check-in.
Exactly. So that was our biggest win, and it gave us the clarity, and the whole business feels that it's more controlled, that kind of way. Also, the staff felt more confident because the answers they were given were proofed and checked by AI and approved by the manager, so they felt confident.
And there's a standard answer going out
Exactly.
rather than one fella saying park around the back and another fella giving them really nice instructions.
So that's what I would say that our aha moments were, you know what I mean? So the faster response led to fewer bad reviews, OTA messaging accuracy improved, and the staff felt very, very comfortable.
And then the push on of that is your TripAdvisor is better, you attract more clients, they'll pay more money. Like all of that makes it all flow, really, doesn't it?
It's a very good, it's a circle.
Yeah, it
and
is.
Everything has to click in.
Yeah, and I think we haven't talked too much about staff retention, but we don't have the staff anymore to train all those answers to. So the more AI can do the answering, the better.
Yeah, and not only that, now we have, I don't know whether you have heard about Notebook LM. So we have created our own question and answers on that, and that's a closed artificial intelligence system.
Within your business?
Yeah, about our business and about our information, and we've given it to all the employees. So if they have any question, their employee handbook is in there, and they can ask those questions of it. Yeah. So not only they're learning or they're refreshing what the handbook says, we're learning what questions they're asking.
Need to know.
We're improving our handbook as well.
That's fantastic.
That's
okay, I'm going very late on time, so Daniel. What's happening in the restaurant business that you really thought is a big change or that AI has really helped you with?
For us, we haven't really delved into as much of the AI. There is a huge amount of systems now that are coming online, and it's again, like what you were saying about the communicability between my rostering system and my POS and my reservations to see, do I need to be putting my guest spend into my reservations? Does it matter to me or to my staff to know that, John and Mary spent £65 last year? Not as much. But having my revenue going into my rota immediately turns out for me my labor costs on Sunday night. I'm at home. I'm off on Sunday. I can see the labor costs for the whole week before I even go to Monday morning to speak to the boys and say, we're up or down
as
or whatever.
As you grow and you open more outlets, you might be very happy to have all that data in your res diaries so that you can target those clients in your new places. Yeah. And we only target the best vendors.
Well, we're quite funnily enough, every one of or three of our places and potentially a fourth in another two or three quarters are very different business models. Yeah. One is brunch, one is dinner, now also with lunch and breakfast, and then one is kind of on-the-go food. So
might not cross-pollinate.
Yeah, quite interestingly, it's very different customer bases, which means we do have to apply different technology to what we're doing. But for this one in particular, to see exactly what is useful for us to take out of it and what the AI and the kind of systems can give you immediately results, like you're saying, next Wednesday is too late to know how much you spent last week, but on Sunday night I can already say okay, they finish work in an hour, that's the staff cost, I know what it is.
Yeah,
And on
and you
Monday
can
morning,
sleep.
I can put the rota out, Monday morning first thing and adjust it if I need to try bring things back. So I think that's, small parts of systems and AI, which I think those AI systems will become more intelligent in so that it can start to tell me exactly how many hours I need every day based on if I put in my bookings. That's the kind of systems I see coming in the future eventually.
Okay, I'm going to go to the last question, so to get us through on time. So we saw so much about, and we all know what hospitality was like when hospitality was fabulous. And for all the countries in the world, Ireland is famous for its hospitality and its people. And I was at an event a couple of weeks ago where somebody said they don't come here for the weather. They come here for the people, the great experience, the safety. And maybe they are coming for the weather now because nobody wants to be roasted to death anymore. So maybe they are coming for the lovely weather. But they're coming to meet that Irish hospitality that they want in whatever version we deliver it at. So where do you think, Jennifer, the AI should do the job so that the hospitality is to the forefront, that our people are to the forefront?
Yeah, so funny, listening to Francis Brennan recently actually at ITIC, and I think he quoted in the article there in The Independent last week, if I can quote him, but he said, we used to be 100,000 welcomes and now he reckons we're about 50,000 welcomes, and he's probably talking more, I don't think he was even referring to AI, I think he was just talking about the general, he was talking about the B&Bs and the ban on tea kind of being missing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the labour force just changing.
Yeah, the labour force changing. Look, when you're in the hospitality industry, and look, it's all I've ever done. I've loved it, and absolutely. I think we were talking about freeing up time was something else that was mentioned this morning. So, from every step, if we can free up the receptionist's time to be able to talk to the guest, yes, we can enhance. Some people will want to do a self check-in, and you see hotels where you have the self check-in kiosks, and then you also have obviously the receptionist there to either assist, or perhaps it's just a demographic of a person who wants to come and have a chat and change their reservation or make dinner plans or whatever, where somebody else comes in and wants to just get their key card and off they go. I mean, obviously, somebody told me a story, so I did have a look at it online. There's a hotel in Japan where they have automated check-in, and then it's a dinosaur AI receptionist, right? So I went and Googled it and had a look at the video, and it's the Henna Hotel in Tokyo, and I thought, outrageous, just outrageous, yeah. But obviously, there's an element of it as a gimmick, and you go to.
And there's something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. There's something for everybody, and if that's your thing, you're gonna book it. I suppose. Look, I sit in a sales world, so how's for me, sales is old-fashioned shoe leather, face-to-face kind of sales is really important. I think where it can help the sales teams is in some of that reporting stuff, not doing manual Excel sheets out of a PMS because it doesn't add all the corporates together or whatever, you know what I mean, those kind of things.
Or duplicate profiles.
Exactly.
And all of that.
So if we can automate and use AI for any of those non-front-facing things, and that gives the sales team more time to pick up the phone to a client when the inquiry comes in on email and actually have a conversation about something and try to get the sale over the line. Because that's, funny enough, this morning, that's the bit that was probably perhaps missing is the actual sales. We talk about sales at tills, we talk about marketing, we talk about e-sign automations, we talk about PO, all those kind of things.
Good old-fashioned corporate sales. But actually, corporate
sales, conference sales, AI can't, I don't think up to this point, can replace, that site inspection. Yes, you can use a video if you need to, but it can't replace face-to-face, touchy-feely.
You can't build client rapport.
No, exactly.
And that sort of business is probably, it's not a one transaction, €100 bedroom. It's multiple.
It's a relationship. It's a long-term relationship.
You're bringing in 300 grand's worth of business. It's much different.
Yeah, it's a really long-term relationship. And, even when inquiries come in, and we had a client recently, they sent an inquiry to 10 hotels, and inevitably, a reactive meetings and events office will reply by email, 9 times out of 10, where one hotel will pick up the phone and say, oh, thanks a million for the inquiry, but I just want to chat through the details, make sure I've understood everything
They've
here.
won the business.
And yeah, exactly, you know what I mean? It's that going that extra mile. So we can't replace all of that, but if I can free up time by doing other automations and reports and all kinds of things behind the scenes, then it gives back that front-facing kind of time. So I think that's what's really important, certainly as a salesperson.
Yeah, and for you, Pori, what do you see the big free up? I see, even in what we've chatted about, is that the staff will be less stressed, which means they're going to be much more engaged. They'll stay longer.
That's your team NPS score increasing already there by taking the admin burden out of there.
Yeah.
that's one benefit of it. I suppose at the end of the day, we are hospitality, so it's really about the guest interaction. Yes, we can make efficiencies and improve workflows.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they are machines, and I suppose there's no level of emotional intelligence involved with that. So if someone was checking into a hotel, it's raining outside, they had a bad day, and they're cranky coming in the door, a machine isn't going to tell you that.
Give them a cup of tea.
It's a cup of tea and a scone that'll take the sting out of it.
Yeah.
But, at least the human can identify that and resolve it.
Yes.
So if that was a machine, it'll leave it go on, and they'll go to the room and they'll nitpick something.
Yes,
and
ring down straight away.
Snowball after that. Yeah.
So it's look, at the end of the day, we're a human industry.
Yes.
And look, a hospitality industry, so we will have to have that level of humanity within the building. Absolutely. Look, there is the mundane task that can be automated.
Removed, totally.
It's a task that people don't like, and really it's focusing on those big wins first and foremost. And as I say, the guest NPS scores will increase, but the team's NPS scores will as well.
Yeah. And you'll keep your teams longer, I think.
Yeah,
which is
all
a huge
about the retention.
Cost, all that swapping and changing and training that we have to do.
Yeah.
Altaf, have you anything to add?
No, I think everything is said there, but it's just one thing. I believe that technology is the currency you buy time with.
Yes.
And that's where it is.
That's a really good way to put it.
Exactly,
Currency that you buy time with. And there's nothing else we can get time back.
Exactly.
And we're the most time poor generation, I would imagine.
So that's where it is. AI does the mundane jobs. They does the admin, but it's still the humans who have to verify, check it, and then send that confirmation or information forward, Now, in our industry, I think it has a lot of use in it, but then it frees up the people to do this hospitality, the show, the warmth, the welcome.
They came into our industry because they like people. They didn't come into our industry to create reports.
Because they like computers.
Exactly,
So that's the right place.
And then not only that, I think integration is more important than innovation in our industry, because at the moment, the reservation sits in PMS, email sits in CRM, the rate sits in RMS, and marketing, the clicks fit in, clicks are sitting in marketing. None of them know the guest. And that's where we need to tie together.
That's where the integration is going to be king. And that's where I think
connection.
the Access Evo piece that can pull all that together.
Exactly.
Even if I was the front person today and I just know who are my 10 best guests checking in today, or what do I need to know about them, wouldn't that be wonderful instead of going through 100 things to find that answer?
Exactly.
Anything from you, Daniel, before we close?
I'll say very quickly, very similar to what you had said at the start, and I think I always view it as there's two types of hospitality. There's hospitality and there's relationship hospitality, and AI and hospitality are very happy bedfellows, whereas relationship hospitality and AI are like a divorced couple who are co-parenting a child, and that child is a customer. They have to get along for it, but the big thing I'd always say is in my previous job, one perfect example is I had two customers. They were Lord and Lady Deben, and I knew them as that from when they first started coming, because that's what they were booked under, and But as time went on, she'd ring the restaurant and I'd go, "Oh, hello, Penny, how are you?" Because I knew it was her voice.
Yeah.
But the email is never going to change it to email her back for her booking, Penny. Saying, Lady Deben is booked at 4 o'clock. But that's the difference in relationship hospitality. And that's where you need relationship hospitality versus systematic AI. And that's great because it can make her booking for her. But when she comes into the restaurant, she's not
she
Lady
needs to be
Deben.
recognized.
She's Penny. How are you? How are your children? And that kind of thing. And I think that's the
combination.
That hospitality and AI are one, but I think relationship hospitality and AI, like I said, very happy divorced couple.
Yeah.
And the customer is the child in the middle.
There'll always be jobs for the people in our industry.
Exactly. Yeah. So the AI will take out the friction.
Yes.
But that gives us more time
to
pay
attention to the child.
Well, listen, thank you all so much. Thank you for coming today, and especially for sharing all your thoughts with our audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.